Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Kyle Thumb. I wanted to talk about something really quick today, which is value. And so, value, cheap leads, marketers, and this is just super important for everyone watching this. Um, One of the things specifically with this Facebook group, Solar Growth Hacks, is we want people to lead with value. Like if you're a marketer, I have no problem with you being in here. I invite marketers in here, which is different than most groups. But if you're going to post in this group, we want it to be valuable. And what I mean by that is there's this thing that marketers do that post screenshots of their marketing campaigns, their ad dashboards, and they're showing, oh, look, these leads are super, super cheap. And I mean, that's awesome. Like a lot of times, like I said, I've talked to people like Tony Flores. I've seen other people post these things. And when I see that, I'm super jealous because that's obviously what I hope to get in a lot of circumstances. But it doesn't always tell the whole story. And I think it's disingenuous for people to post that and to not provide obviously the context behind the specifics about the campaign, because that's important. It gives us context. And then the other thing is you have no problem with people claiming about their wins and showing off that they're having a really good month with leads or even with sales. Like if you're posting something that's like just for like pure like selfish reasons, I have no problem with that occasionally. But the most thing is you have to earn that opportunity by providing value consistently to the group. And that's kind of my approach with all social media, but this group specifically, because obviously it's something I run, we always want to provide value. All right, so what are we talking about? We're talking about cheap leads, right? So this is a graphic I just pulled from one of my accounts, which is the last 7 days. And this is campaigns that are running for myself pretty much. And so virtual, these are 4 different states. I believe California is one of them, Texas is one of them, South Carolina, and New Mexico. So basically, if you look at these different costs, you can see that obviously these leads are pretty cheap. Like these aren't I'm very happy with the way that these campaigns are performing right now. Like I said, just posting this doesn't tell the full story. So I want to provide you guys with some value behind this and kind of give you guys an idea of some tips how to get these numbers. And then also when you have those numbers, certain things you have to make sure that you're have in place so that you can actually handle these numbers, because cheaper isn't always the best for different people. Cheaper is great and it's awesome and it's fun, but it's not always best for different people. So let's get ahead and get into it. I want to tell about some tips that we have regarding cheap leads. All right. So number one is bigger equals better. Which is there's a sexual innuendo there. That's what she said for any Office fans out there. But bigger equals better. And so when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about geography, right? So bigger equals better for geography purposes. And I guess it's not even necessarily geography, it's just audience size. So what I mean by that is uh, the larger your audience, the cheaper you're going to be able to get leads for. So like those campaigns that I have running, like I have them running for pretty much entire states, and some a little bit of targeting, but for the most part, I'm trying to keep my audience size very, very large. And that's the only way that you can get insanely cheap leads is if you have a very, very large audience size. And so that's something that's important because people that are in markets where maybe they service an area that has a full population of 200,000 people, you're not going to be able to get as cheap of leads as someone who is targeting the entire state. And that's just something to keep in mind, especially if you have a small market and you're going to a marketer. You want to make sure that the pricing that they have projected for you is accurate. And that's one of the big things too. Is cheap leads are great, but most of the time we can only do that if we're targeting very, very large populations. All right, so number two, only if you can handle. So what this means is number two, only go with cheap leads if you can handle a large volume and a lot of time and a lot of work. So very, very important because just because like, let me look at the screenshot that I was showing you guys, right? is um, like, here, let me get it up for you. So the screenshot that I shared, right, is, I mean, I have 298 leads in the last 7 days. And that's a lot of leads. I mean, that's a lot of leads. That's a lot of phone calls. That's a lot of work. I would never have gone with cheap leads if I didn't have the systems and the team in place to help me process those. Meaning that we want them to be able to we have to make sure that we're able to call leads when they first come in. We also have to make sure that we're able to call and follow up because the cheaper the leads, the lower quality, the more work that's involved. So just know that cheap leads don't make sense if you're a rep on your own and you're looking to get like you're looking to get maybe a couple appointments per week. You want to make sure that the leads you have to work through are higher quality. You might pay a little bit more, but you're saving more time. So cheap leads aren't always best, and you only want to go for cheap leads if you have the systems to handle that volume. Okay. All right. Number three, filter. Filtering is a must. So filtering is a must. Okay. So number three, filtering is a must. And what I mean by that is, once again, I'm going to pull up this graphic. Is so these leads that I have here are I'm using Facebook lead forms. I'm asking them obviously their contact info, and then I'm asking them, are you a homeowner? I'm asking them, what's your monthly electric bill? So those are really the only questions that I'm asking for. But what I'm saying filtering is, like I said, 300 people is a lot of people to call, right? So a lot of these people, I would say probably what we're seeing right now is 20-30% are not homeowners, even though the copy obviously says you must be a homeowner. And so those people are people that we don't want to waste our time with. So in order to do that, we have it set up in my system, and I recommend for anyone to set it up so that we don't push forward people that aren't homeowners. So especially if you're asking that question, you have to have the ability to filter that, because 300 calls is a lot, and you want to filter it even before it gets to a member of your team, because you don't want them wasting their time calling renters. So just know that for cheap leads, you have to be able to filter. And then what that also means is, when you look at a graphic like this isn't really the cost per lead. This isn't the cost per homeowner, at least. This is the cost per lead. And so when you start calculating the cost per homeowner, that, I mean, obviously is what a lead really is you want your lead to be a homeowner. So when you see super low cost like this, just know that a lot of times too, it's not all, this includes a lot of renters, and therefore these numbers are lower than the real amount should be. Okay. And oops. Oh no, I knocked over my family. Number four, cheaper isn't always better. Cheaper isn't always better. So that's another thing too when it comes to cheap leads. Just know the theme of this video is it isn't always better. In my opinion, there's a lot of times where it is better. But it only works if you have the systems to filter through, to call, to follow up, to weed through the weeds, to play phone tag for weeks on end just to get an electric bill. That's the only way that you can really do cheap leads, because once you have a pipeline of hundreds and hundreds of people, it's a lot of work. So if you don't have that team, or you're just personally, you don't want to spend that time, you'd rather spend a little bit more money, then cheap leads aren't always best. So that is my little thing today. Couple things, like number one message: cheap leads aren't always best. Number two, if you're going to post a video, please provide value always. Or sorry, if you're going to post any content, please provide value. And that's going to be something that hopefully we promote in this group, because ultimately we want to help everyone. And that's the reason why I invite marketing guys in here. So